بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي اللهم آمين أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Today, inshallah, we're going to discuss one lesson that we can learn from the story of Prophet Yusuf Ali Aslam. Now, the story of Prophet Yusuf Ali Aslam is one of the most talked about story in the Qur'an. You see many lessons on YouTube, many lectures, many articles about the story of Yusuf Ali Aslam because it is very unique in many ways. First of all, this whole surah is dedicated to his story, or nothing else. Some commentary in the beginning, some commentary in the end, but that's it. His story is the over 90% of this surah, and this does not happen almost in any other surah. Another thing is, most of the stories in the Qur'an are not told in a chronological manner. When you read the story of Musa Ali Aslam, it's like a part in this surah and then another part in another surah, and it's not in the chronological order. Sometimes something happened later will be mentioned earlier, and something happened earlier will be mentioned later. So Allah Azza wa Jalla talks about other people and other stories in a less organized way from our perspective. But this story is well organized according to chronological order. So it started from the youth of Yusuf Ali Aslam, and then as he grew up, the story also progresses. So this is another uniqueness of the story of Yusuf Ali Aslam. And then in terms of the background of this surah, there are two important things we need to know. Number one is that many scholars say this surah was revealed in the year of sorrow. So there was one year near the last few years where the Prophet ﷺ stayed in Mecca. There was one year in which many sad events happened. His wife Khadija radiallahu anha passed away. His uncle Abu Talib passed away. And then when he went to Taif, trying to call people of Taif to Islam, he was severely attacked and humiliated. So all of this event happened, and obviously he was very sad. When his wife passed away, he lost this emotional support. And when his uncle passed away, he lost tribal protection in the city. And when he was attacked by people of Taif, he was, how to say, it was a very saddening experience for him as a prophet, that he was not accepted, that he was not welcome. So all of these sad things happened, and then Allah Azza wa Jalla revealed to him Surah Yusuf. So many scholars say that the story of Yusuf Ali Aslam served as a consolation, as a way of soothing the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. It made him have hope again, and we'll see why that is the case. Another thing to know about the background of Yusuf Ali Aslam, or the story of Yusuf Ali Aslam, Surah Yusuf, is this. Back then, the Meccans actually, they wanted to ask some very hard questions to the Prophet ﷺ, and they hoped that if he could not answer, they could expose him as a fake prophet, as a liar. So they asked a question that they borrowed from the Jewish people, which is, how did Banu Israel, how did the children of Israel went to Egypt? Because historically, even the Arabs know, because the Arabs are also children of Ibrahim alayhi salam. Even they know that the children of Yaqub, the children of Israel, were originally in Arabia, in Palestine. How did they go to Egypt eventually? They asked this question, and they were hoping that the Prophet ﷺ would have no answer, because this is something that no Arab know. This is something that was so hidden in history and so private to the Jewish people that no Arab person knew this history. So they were hoping that this would defeat the Prophet ﷺ. But to their surprise, the Prophet ﷺ replied to them with the whole account of the story of Yusuf ﷺ, with all the details. How did he go to Egypt, and how did his families eventually go to Egypt, and what happened in between. Everything is laid out there as a counterattack to the disbelievers, to show them as evidence that, see, he's not just a random Arab. He doesn't tell you things based on his knowledge. He's telling you things based on revelation. So this is another purpose of Surah Yusuf, actually to strongly and firmly prove that the Prophet ﷺ was upon revelation. He was delivering this message based on divine knowledge, not his own knowledge. So these are the two um, backgrounds of Surah Yusuf. Now, I believe most of us are already familiar with the story of Yusuf, and if not, you can go back and read the surah by yourself. Today, in this sharing, we will not, go through the whole surah ayah by ayah, although this is worth doing. It deserves to be done in that manner. But then, because we have limited time, I'll just quickly recap the story. So Yusuf Ali Aslam, in the beginning, the story began, and by the way, there's an ayah in the beginning of this surah. Allah Azza wa Jalla said, نَحْنُ نَقُصُ عَلَيْكَ أَحْسَنَ الْقَصَصِ بِمَا أَوْحَيْنَا إِلَيْكَ هَذَا الْقُرْآنِ وَإِن كُنْتَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِ لَمِنَ الْغَافِلِينَ. Allah Azza wa Jalla said, through revealing this Qur'an to you, we are narrating to you, we are telling you the best stories, the most beautiful stories. And then this has two meanings. Number one is these stories are best in terms of their content, in terms of what happened. It's most amazing and most mesmerizing. But secondly, these stories are told in the best way. Because storytelling is an art, is a form of art. Not everyone can do it well. And storytelling is something that human beings are, addicted to, you can say. In any culture, in any civilization, starting from those cave paintings, they were trying to tell stories. What happened? From cave paintings and to Greek mythology in ancient time, and to Shakespeare, the drama of Shakespeare, that's story. Everything is a story. And to the novels of more modern authors, that's in the Western culture and in Chinese culture as well. Most of we have the four, we call them the four greatest literature in Chinese, 四大名著. All of them are stories. They're nothing but stories. So human beings are addicted to stories. We just want to listen to stories all the time. And what are movies and TV shows except stories? Everything is a story. But Allah is telling you that the best stories are in the Qur'an, and they are told in the best way by Allah in the Qur'an. So forget about all the Oscar-winning movies. Forget about the TV shows that have been viewed millions of times. We should learn the Qur'an even to be entertained, to know the best stories. That's what Allah Azza wa Jalla is saying. And also, if you think about it, numerous, countless stories happen in human history. Even if we only talk about the prophets and messengers, numerous stories happen to all of them. But Allah Azza wa Jalla chose a selected number of stories in the Qur'an, and that shows you each one of these is so profound, and it can serve as a hudan linnas, a guidance to human being until the last day. And that's how to say profound and beneficial these stories are. So we have to turn to them over and over again. We can't just read it once, okay, now I know the story of Yusuf and that's it. No, these stories will keep revealing new ideas and new knowledge if you keep visiting them. So we need to keep visiting them. So the story of Yusuf Ali Aslam started with a dream. Well, you can read that. I'll write again. Started with a dream, and if you think of it, if you visualize this scene, right? So the story began. And then the first thing you saw was a young boy telling his father, "Father, I have seen a dream." And if this is actually a movie, you'll be like, this is interesting. You'll be curious, right? You will be interested in knowing what is this dream about, and why does his father say, "Don't tell this dream to your brothers," because they may try to harm you because of this dream. You're like, what's the big deal with 11 stars and the sun and the moon prostrating to this young boy? What is the significance of this story? Now you're interested. So Allah indeed tells the story in the best way. And then fast forward, his brothers, out of jealousy, threw him into a well, and then he was taken out, but he was sold by the caravan to Egypt as a slave. And also Allah Azza wa Jalla mentioned that they were sold with a very small price. Right? This is in which ayah? Let me see. Ayah number 20. Allah said, وَشَرَوْهُ بِثَمَنٍ بَخْسٍ. They sold him with a very little price, with countable darahim, just a few dirham. They sold him. And why is this significant? You will see that later as well. He was sold to Egypt, and he was sold to a family of a powerful person, Aziz, which is a title, not a name. Most scholars say it's a title of a powerful person. You can say government official, right? Public servant. And then he was in the family, serving the family for many years. And then the wife of Aziz, because of the handsomeness of Yusuf Ali Aslam, attempted to seduce him. But Yusuf Ali Aslam was such a righteous young man that he ran away from this evil action, although he was caught too by a powerful and beautiful woman. And this is why in a hadith, there's a hadith where the Prophet ﷺ mentions 7 categories of people which will be shaded by the shade of Allah on the Day of Judgment, when there is no other shade except the shade of Allah. And one of this category is a man who is called towards a beautiful and powerful woman, but he says, Inni akhafullah, I fear Allah. So Yusuf Ali Aslam is an example, a manifestation of this category of people. He said, Ma'adallah, I seek Allah's refuge. And he didn't fall into this temptation. Although Allah Azza wa Jalla said he also inclined towards her. She inclined towards him and he inclined towards her. But he resisted his inclination. He resisted his, desires. And subhanAllah, men know how hard this is. It's much easier said than done. This is tremendous. This is amazing what he did. So, fast forward, and because of that, because he denied the wife of Aziz, but the wife of Aziz, because she's a powerful woman, she threatened him eventually and said, if you do not comply to what I ask you to, then I'll put you into prison. I can, work my ways around and eventually falsely accuse you and send you to prison. And then Yusuf alayhi salam said, Rabbi sijnun ahabbu ilayya mimma yad'unani ilay. My Lord, the prison is more beloved to me than what they call me towards. So being imprisoned is better for me than doing haram actions, he's saying. And eventually he did go to prison, and he spent many years in there. Some scholars say about 9 years. And during his stay in prison, he had 2 prison mates. And then they had dreams, and they came to him, and they had insight. They saw that this guy is very special. It seems that he has a lot of knowledge. So they asked him to interpret the dreams for them. And Yusuf alayhi salam, before interpreting the dreams for them, he started giving da'wah to these people. And he was in prison, subhanAllah. He said, Ya sahibi sijn, my 2 companions of prison, أَأَرْبَابٌ مُتَفَرَّقُونَ أَخَيْرٌ أَمِ اللَّهُ الْوَاحِدُ الْقَهَّارُ. Are many multiple separate lords better, or is Allah the one, the most prevailing and powerful better? And he told them about the corruption of shirk and the righteousness of tawheed. He called them to worship only one God. And then he interpreted dreams for them. And then one of them will die as he interpreted, and the other will be released from prison and will eventually meet the king. And he told this guy, please mention me to the king and plead for me once you get out. But he forgot, right? So at this point, until this point, if we recall the story of Yusuf Ali Aslam from the beginning to now, we're like, this is a tough life. It's nothing but tragedy. Everything is terrible. Nothing went right. Nothing went right, right? Like, he was an innocent young boy who was thrown into a well. That's bad enough. And then he was sold as a slave. He did nothing wrong. He was sold as a slave to a foreign land, right? To a country that he perhaps has never been to. And then he was seduced by his employer. He's seduced by his employer. He could do nothing about it. And then although he denied the wrong action, he was falsely accused and put into prison. And he spent many years in prison. And he helped someone who forgot to help him back. Until this point, we're like, this is just terrible, right? I don't want to watch this movie anymore. I'm just sad. I need to go drink some coffee and get myself more positive. This is such a sad story. And then, right, I was giving a khutbah in a school about mental health problems, mental health issues. And I said, if anyone should complain about life, it should be Yusuf Ali Aslam. If anyone deserves to complain about God, it should be Yusuf Ali Aslam. If anyone should develop depression and anxiety disorder and all kinds of other mental health issues, it should be Yusuf Ali Aslam, because in his life, until this point, nothing has gone right. Everything is terrible. It's like the world is against him. Some people have this idea, right? A bad thing happened to me, and then another bad thing happened to me, and then another bad thing happened to me. The world is against me, man. Nothing good happens to me. Look at all these people around me. They're enjoying the beauties of life. He just got a promotion, right? He got a bonus award from his boss. Or, her husband is so nice to her. I'm such a good person. Why do I deserve all of this? And because of this, lack of understanding and lack of perception, lack of basira, vision, we don't understand the hidden wisdom behind all of these events, and then we become resentful. If you don't have faith, or you have, little faith, you will become resentful and vengeful even. When you read, there was, scientific research on all of those mass shooters, right? People who commit crime against humanity. When they go out to random schools and even random public areas and just start shooting people in Las Vegas or in some other schools in the US. People read their diaries and they would find that the highest motivation for them to do this is vengeance, revenge against humanity. They were thinking that the world is against me, everything bad is happening to me, and I want to revenge. I want other people to taste the hardship and the pain of being too. So I want to pay back to human beings. That's their motivation. So when people don't have faith, when you see these events as just bad luck and unfortunate events followed by unfortunate events, and you don't see the reason behind, and you don't feel it's fair. It's not fair that I'm doing all of this. Well, I'm a good person, right? Yusuf Ali Aslam, clearly he was a good person. His prison mates said, "Inna naraka min al-muhsinin." We can see that you are among the excellent. You are indeed an excellent person. He did nothing wrong. So he suffered from all of this, but he did not become resentful and vengeful and spiteful. He did not become antisocial and develop mental health issues. Why is that? What is his secret? What's different about him? Okay, he actually gave the answer in the end. But so far we can already see one thing special about him, which is he always had Allah in the picture, no matter what situation he is in. He always remembered Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in his experiences. For example, when he was seduced by Imratul Aziz, he said, "Ma'adallah, I seek Allah's refuge." He knows that, I'm in a closed area, secluded area. Allah mentioned she closed all the doors and windows. No one could see them. But he understood that Allah can see me. So ma'adallah, I seek Allah's refuge. Allah was in the picture. When he was, falsely accused, as I mentioned, he said, "My Lord, prison is better for me." Again, Allah is in the picture. When he was put into prison, he was calling others to worship Allah. Allah is in the picture. He never saw the events in his life as random events. He always saw the events in his life as plans and script written by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when you have that understanding, your attitude towards life will change altogether. Like, just like they say, everything happens for a reason. And all of these negative events, as we shall see in the later half of Yusuf Ali Aslam's life, they all connected, and they were all indispensable and significant in serving a higher purpose, in leading to something much greater and much more important. So what happened afterward? One of the prison mates that he interpreted dream for met the king, and then the king had a dream, and the king asked people who can interpret the dream for me. And then this guy remembered, oh, I had a prison mate before who could interpret dream. So he went back to him, he asked him for his interpretation. So subhanAllah, think about it. Yusuf Ali Aslam asked him to mention him to the king when he was released, and he didn't do this, he forgot. For many years, Yusuf Ali Aslam stayed in prison because of his forgetfulness. So I would imagine, if it were me, this guy comes back to me and asks me for a favor? Are you crazy? Right? I would be so angry at him. What did you do for all those years? You don't remember I told you to mention the king to me, and now you want a favor from me? Get out of here, man. That would be my attitude. And that would be the response from any normal human being, I think. But what did Yusuf Ali Aslam do? He asked him to interpret the dream. He said, okay, this is the interpretation. Fine, go ahead. He just responded with goodness. He didn't really, subhanAllah, he didn't really, he didn't respond based on his own experience. He responded based on what is good, what is righteous, what is, beneficial. So he interpreted the dream, and it turns out that it benefited himself. And this really proves to us that when you do good, sometimes you feel like you're losing. Sometimes you feel like you're being sacrificed by doing good. You're at work, and people keep piling work to you. You're like, dude, I'm not paid this much to do all of this work. Everyone's asking me to do things. And it's normal for us to feel like if I do all of these things, I'm being sacrificed. My time is being sacrificed, my energy is being sacrificed. And it's just not fair. But what Yusuf Ali Aslam showed us is, it might appear that you are being sacrificed. It might appear that you are being unfairly treated. But it could be that what you're doing benefits yourself in the end. It could be that Allah will take your good actions and store them for you, and eventually give them back to you in multitude, right? Repay you with much greater rewards. And then the king got to know that he is truly a blessed man who could interpret dream. And by the way, his interpretation of dreams his interpretation of the dream of the king saved all the people of Egypt from starvation and hunger, because he told the king to save up crops and food for 7 years in preparation for the 7 years of famine. And if he did not tell the king about this, they would suffer from the famine and become hungry, and millions of people will die. And in the ancient time, when famine happens, it's not only hunger, it will be war, it will be robbery, it will be chaos. So he prevented all of this from happening just by his kindness, kind interpretation of dream, despite his own past. And then the king, appointed him with a very honorable position. He became the national treasurer. He became the minister of wealth in Egypt. And then, long story short, he also made a plot, right? When he saw his brothers, he also made a plot so that they could bring back his younger brother Binyamin, and eventually also bring back his parents. So the whole family reunited because of his plot. And in the end, it was a good ending story, right? Best ending story, that he united with his families, and his brothers realized their mistake, they repented, and Yusuf Ali Aslam forgave them, Yaqub Ali Aslam forgave them, and they also asked Allah to forgive them. And then Yusuf Ali Aslam told his father that this is what my dream meant in the very beginning. It was a great story. And this is who said this? One scholar said, yeah, it's Sheikh Hamza Yusuf. He said, subhanAllah, when you read Western literature, especially starting from Shakespeare, a lot of drama of Shakespeare are tragedies. Right? It ends in very sad ending, like Hamlet. Everyone dies, eventually, everyone dies. And it's just a depressing ending when you see literature like this, when you see stories like this. Again, stories. After the stories, you just want to cry. You just want to curl up in your bed and do nothing else. The word is just, the word is just not fair. But when you read stories in the Qur'an, it's always good ending stories. There are pains and sufferings and tragedies for sure, because لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي كَبَدٍ. Allah said, I created human beings in toils and torture and hardship. That will happen. You will cry. You will feel lonely at some point. You will feel defeated. You will feel painful. But وَالْعَاقِبَةُ لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. Allah also said, the good ending is for the muttaqeen, for people who are conscious of Allah. Don't worry. Eventually it will be good. Even if your ending in this life is not good, don't worry. We have Yawm al-Qiyamah. We have the day of resurrection. We have the hereafter, which even like now could be a good ending. Right? Allah Azza wa Jalla, in a hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said, a person who went through all kinds of hardship and difficulties and sufferings in this life, like the poorest man on earth, and then when Allah dipped him into Jannah, like just like that, and Allah asked him, did you endure any difficulty in life? He said, nothing, Ya Allah. Nothing hard ever happened to me in this life, in dunya. That's the good ending. So, وَالْعَاقِبَةُ لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. Sheikh Hamza Yusuf says, this is the Islamic mindset. This is the Islamic perspective. Good ending is for the believers. It's going to come out good. You're in difficulty right now, don't worry. It's fine. It's going to pass. It's going to end. Something good will happen in the end. Okay, now, so I just recapped the story very quickly, but now let's try to extract a few lessons from his story. And one I already mentioned, which is the topic in the poster, wait for the dots to connect. What does that mean? It means you might be doing a job right now that you don't like. Maybe you don't even understand, like, what am I doing here? Why am I doing this? This is not my passion. This is not my talent. This is not my interest. And you might not be happy about your environment right now. What am I doing in Hong Kong? Given all the social, events going on. Why don't I just go back to Pakistan? By the way, according to 2018 United Nations Annual Report on Happiness Index, Hong Kong is ranked as 76, one place below Pakistan. So people are happier in Pakistan than they're in Hong Kong. What are you doing here? You might be unhappy about your current situation, where you are, what you're doing, who you are with, right? Why am I stuck with this kind of people? Or I have such great talent. How come I'm not utilized? How come I'm only paid like 17K or 18K? What's going on? When you have this kind of thinking, you need to recall the story of Yusuf Ali Aslam. Right? He deserved to say that. What am I doing in prison? I'm innocent. Or what am I doing in the house of Aziz, serving him? I'm the son of a prophet. Actually, our Prophet ﷺ said, in terms of lineage, Yusuf Ali Aslam is the most honorable man on earth, because he is Nabi ibn Nabi ibn Nabi ibn Nabi. He's a prophet, the son of a prophet, the son of a prophet, the son of a prophet. Right? His father Yaqub is a prophet. His grandfather Ishaq is a prophet. His great-grandfather Ibrahim is a prophet. He should be the most honorable man on earth. But yet now he's serving in the house of some random Egyptian guy and being seduced by his wife. He should be saying, what am I doing here? This is unfair. And when he's, in prison for so many years, he could doubt Allah, he could doubt life, he could complain. He didn't do all of this because he knows the dots will eventually connect. So these separate events in our life, the 2 years you spent here, the 3 years you spent doing this, you may not see the point of all of this right now. But 20 years later, when you look back, you will say, oh, that's why I had those 2 years. It really served me. It really helped me gain something valuable. It really prepared for me something that I could use later, right? And actually, when you look back in your previous life, you can already see something like this. When you look back to 5 years ago, or 3 years ago, or 2 years ago, you will understand why certain things happened and how they actually benefited you and made you who you are today. And so surely the entire life will be that way. When you look back at the end of life, you will understand that everything happened according to the qadr of Allah, right? So, and the qadr of Allah is not random. Actually, the word qadr comes from qaddara, which means, wise distribution. So Allah make certain things happen to one person but not to another person, because He knows these events will benefit this person but not that person. So He designed your life events according to who you are and what qualities you possess and what you should experience and what you need, not necessarily what you want. He will let you go through things that you may not like, but they are necessary for you, possibly, or they are beneficial for you. So in this we need to trust the qadr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But then, very importantly, to trust the qadr of Allah Azza wa Jal doesn't mean you just lay back and like, okay, just let life unfold. I'll just wait. I'll just, be actionless. I'll just do nothing and wait for things to happen. That's not tawakkul, right? We know the Prophet ﷺ said, tie your camel and then trust Allah. In the story of Yusuf Ali Aslam, how did he tie his camel? He actually made some very important decisions which were critical for his qadr to unfold. If he acted differently, his life could ended up all different altogether. What are the key decisions he made? Number one is when the wife of Aziz seduced him, he decided to run away. He decided to resist wrong action, and this served him. Because if he hadn't done this, he would not have been put into prison. And if he had not been put into prison, he would not have met the prison mate, who eventually met the king, who eventually, got him out. So that decision played a very important role in his qadr, in this script, in his story. And then also, when he also made the decision of, again, رَبِّ السِّجْنُ أَحَبُّ إِلَيَّ مِمَّا يَدْعُونَنِي إِلَيْهِ. My Lord, prison is more beloved to me than what they call me towards. So here is a clear personal preference, his decision. Allah didn't force him to choose prison. Allah didn't put him into prison. He chose prison for himself because he knows that this is better than committing haram and disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he made that decision. So in our life, we can't just blame everything to qadr or become nihilist because of the qadr of Allah. We need to understand that we play a very important role in the unfolding of our qadr. Our decisions, our actions will decide how our life will unfold. And also, some scholars say that the qadr of Allah is like a very huge program with many if-then statements, if you have learned programming, right? So in programming, if this happens, then this happens. Or if this happens, then this happens. Or if this happens, then this happens. And in life, there are infinite possibilities. You have heard about butterfly effect. Some of you have heard of butterfly effect. If I move this cup 1 inch from this desk, the world will be different in 10 years. Because something will be changed because of that, and something else, and eventually they will amplify to make a huge change in the world. So that's butterfly effect. There are infinite possibilities in life. Therefore, every action of yours will actually influence your qadr in a way. But Allah knows which one you will choose. This is the balance between qadr and your personal free will. You are free to choose whichever one you want, and for each of your decision, Allah has already planned out the result for that decision, and Allah already knows which decision you will make. So that's the arch program, right? That's the script of your life. That's one thing we can learn from the story of Yusuf Ali Aslam. So You may not like where you are at right now in your life, but it could be a significant and indispensable preparation stage for something much greater. So yes, you may not be happy about your situation, but bear in mind that what I should be asking is not why am I here, but rather what can I gain from this? How can I benefit from this? Allah must have put me in this situation for a reason. So that's the question I need to ask myself. What can I get from this? So that's number one. Number two, try to do meaningful things wherever you are, instead of complaining. So Yusuf Ali Aslam, in prison, he did da'wah to his prison mates, right? He said he called his prison mates to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone and discard all the other false gods. So he didn't become depressed in a hard situation again. So one thing is you seek what you can benefit from your environment, and second is what you can do to contribute to your environment. Can I do something to make this better? Can I do something that actually benefit? That's one thing. So do good even if you don't see the point, right? This is very important. When he interpreted the dreams for the prison mates, were there any expectable immediate reward that he could achieve? No, nothing. These are criminals. What can they do for him? So he couldn't see any immediate reward from doing good, but he did it anyway, because he understands إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُضِيعُ أَجْرَ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. Allah will not waste the good actions, the reward of the doers of good. If you do good, it's going to benefit you one way or another, and leave that to Allah. Just focus on doing good. Just focus on what can I do in this environment to benefit people, and Allah will reward you in His own way. You don't have to worry about that. So that's another thing we can learn. And thirdly, Yusuf Ali Aslam didn't learn how to interpret dream in prison, right? He knew how to interpret dream when he was very young. He had that talent even before he went through all of the negative events. He was blessed with that knowledge from divine revelation. He knew how to interpret dream as a young child, but then his talent was not fully utilized, was not appreciated or acknowledged until many years later, right? Until he spent many years in prison, and he was until the king had the dream, and then his talent was realized, and then his talent was utilized and developed and made into something great. So right now you could have a talent. You know you have a talent. You could be a potential for a race car driver. You could be a basketball star, and you feel it that way. Like I can be great, man, if only people can see. Well, Yusuf Ali Aslam had this ability, and Allah knew that he had this ability, but Allah decided that this ability will be utilized 30, 40 years later. For many years it was hidden. For many years it didn't really make him great. So this is one thing we can learn. Your talent may not be put to use right away. You have it right now, yes. Allah knows you have it. Be patient. And Allah is paving the way for it to be called for one day. Right? Allah paved the way using these negative events so that His ability one day could be used in such a great way that it benefited millions of people. Right? It's not only just interpreting a dream, it's actually preventing natural disaster. It's actually for the well-being of the community. So one day your talent will be called for, and now Allah is preparing you for it, and you also need to prepare yourself for that opportunity to come. So even from secular perspective, they say that success is for people who are prepared. Opportunity are for those who are prepared. So you may not have the platform or the opportunity to be as great as you think you are, but as long as you have what it takes, the opportunity will come one day. Just be patient and wait for it. And now let's look at something really powerful. So again, as I mentioned in the beginning, Allah said, we will tell you the best stories in this Qur'an, through this Qur'an. The best stories does not only mean the content of the story, but also how the story is told. Let's look at some interesting parallels in the story of Yusuf Ali Aslam. In ayah number 15, when Yusuf Ali Aslam was thrown into well, Allah said, وَأَوْحَيْنَا إِلَيْهِ لِنُنَبِّئَنَّهُمْ أَمْرِهِمْ هَذَا وَهُمْ لَا يَشْعُرُونَ. In the future, Allah said, we revealed to him, when Yusuf Ali Aslam was in the well, we revealed to him that surely you will tell them about this affair of theirs. You will tell them what they did, and double emphasis, right? لَنُتَبِّئَنَّهُمْ. You will surely, definitely tell them what they used to do while they are not aware. This is a prophecy. And again, if you visualize it, like, look, if it's a movie, this young guy is in the well, and the voice said to him, or there's a voice over in the movie, surely you will tell your brothers what they did to you while they are not aware. And you would be like, how? How exactly can that happen? And then we go to ayah number 89. We go to ayah number 89, which was the second time the brothers of Yusuf Ali Aslam met him. And he said, قال هل علمتم ما فعلتم يوسف وأخيه إذ أنتم جاهلون. Don't you know what you used to do to Yusuf and his brother while you were ignorant people? So he did inform them of what they used to do. قالوا أئنك لأنت يوسف. Are you Yusuf? They were not aware. Just like Allah prophesied, right? So this is a parallel. In ayah number 21, when the caravan sold him to Aziz, Allah said, after he settled down in the house of Aziz, Allah said, وَكَذَلِكَ مَكَنَّا لِيُوسُفَ فِي الْأَرْضِ وَلِنُعَلِّمَهُ مِنْ تَأْوِيلِ الْأَحَادِيثِ. And thus, like that, we have established Yusuf. And مَكَنَّا, so we have given him rank and status in the land, and we taught him the interpretation of dreams. Again, as an audience, seeing this scene, you'll be like, what status? What rank? He's a slave, he's a servant. What are you talking about? And if this is talking about the future, Allah said, indeed, we will, establish him. You'll be like, how exactly? He's a servant, he's a slave. You don't see it happening, I don't see it happening. So again, to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this did not happen before he became the Minister of Wealth. It's all one thing. It's one connected thing. To Allah, there's no such thing as before and after, now and then, right? Right now and future. To Allah, it's all, because time doesn't limit him. He knows what's going to happen in the future already. And what will happen in the future is fundamentally related to what will happen now. So to Allah, that's like already done. So that's why even when Yusuf Ali Aslam was a slave, he said, we have established him in the ground, in the land, as someone powerful. This is ayah number 21. In ayah number 56, Allah used the same words. وَكَذَلِكَ مَكَنَّا يُوسُفَ فِي الْأَرْضِ. SubhanAllah. And thus we established Yusuf in the land. And this was when he became the king. Again, to Allah, being a slave, and not the king, the Minister of Wealth. So being a slave and being the Minister of Wealth, in the sight of Allah, it's the same thing. Because Allah established you based on who you are. The position, the worldly position is only, secondary attachment. If Allah wants to establish you, even if you are a slave, you are already established. Allah will take care of you. In ayah number 32, this was when the wife of Aziz was threatening Yusuf Ali Aslam. He said, if you do not comply to me, if he does not comply to me, لا يسجنن ولا يكون من الصاغرين. He will surely be imprisoned and he will surely be humiliated. He will be among the صاغرين. He will be small. He will be lowly, right? He will be an insignificant and lowly person. This is what the wife of Aziz said. And in ayah number 54, this was when the king met Yusuf Ali Aslam, and when they had a conversation, فَلَمَّا كَلَّمَهُ, when he talked with the king, قال, the king said, إِنَّكَ الْيَوْمَ لَدَيْنَا مَكِنٌ أَمِينٌ. Indeed, you are with us on this day a high-ranking person, an honorable person, and a trustworthy person. So this is in strong contrast to what the wife of Aziz said. She said, you will be humiliated and lowly. The king said, you will be high and honorable. This shows you that whoever obeys Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even if people want to harm you because of your obedience, even if people want to humiliate you because of your obedience, Allah will raise you, right? مَنْ تَوَضَّعَ أَحَدٌ لِلَّهِ يَرْفَعُهُ اللَّهُ. The Prophet ﷺ said, whoever humbles himself for the sake of Allah, Allah will raise him and elevate him. So don't worry about your status and rank, Allah will raise you. This is also interesting in parallel. I mentioned already, the prison mates of Yusuf Ali Aslam said to him, إِنَّا نَرَاكَ مِنَ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. We see that you are among the excellent people. We can see that you have excellence. And later on, when the brothers of Yusuf met him again, while not knowing he is Yusuf, they also said, إِنَّا نَرَاكَ مِنَ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. Yeah, Aziz, we can see that you are an excellent person. This shows that Yusuf Ali Aslam maintained his good character and good conduct despite his situation and environment. In prison, when he was at one of the lowest places in life, he was a muhsin. And in the court of the king, when he was Minister of Wealth, above all people in Egypt, he was a muhsin, someone with good character and good conduct. We should not let our environment change us. We should remain who we are and remain righteous despite the environment. In ayah number 83, Yaqub alayhi salam said, actually hoped. So when they went back and said, you know what, Benjamin stole a cup, and then he was kept prisoner, his father said, Yaqub Ali Aslam said, wait, where is it? Ayah number 83. Wait. Yeah. He said, Asa Allahu an yatiyani bihim jami'a. Maybe, perhaps Allah will bring them back to me, all of them together. Will unite us. Maybe Allah will unite us. This is ayah number 83. In ayah number 93, Yusuf Ali Aslam, after revealing his identity as Yusuf, after meeting his brothers, he said to his brothers, okay, go back, bring my shirt, and my father's vision will be given back. And then he said, وَأْتُونِي بِأَهْلِكُمْ أَجْمَعِينَ, and bring back all of your families and unite with us. So his father said, maybe Allah will unite them with me. Yusuf Ali Aslam said, unite them with me, bring them to me. So all of these are in interesting parallel. And then now, even more powerful is how these are the details that are in parallel. But even more powerful is how the story itself, the whole structure, has a very interesting flow. So it started with the dream of Yusuf Ali Aslam, right? Started with the dream. That's the first thing. And then his brothers plot. Which caused them to separate, right? Which caused Yusuf Ali Aslam to be separated from his families. And this is only, I'm just recounting the flow of the story. And then he was sold, and Allah mentioned clearly for a small price. I mentioned, we were wondering why this is mentioned. For a small price. And then he was falsely accused, and as a result, he was put into prison. And then in prison, he interpreted dreams for his prison mates. Okay, this is the flow of the story. And then he interpreted dream for the king. When one of the prison mates went out, met the king, and he interpreted dream for the king. And then because he interpreted the dream for the king, he was proven innocent, and then he was released, right? He was taken out of prison, let out of prison. And then he became the minister of wealth. So given authority over national wealth, he became a national treasurer. Which means he controls all the money in the country. All the money in the country is under his control. And then he also plotted. Once he had that position, he plotted not against his brother, because when you see the result, he plotted for his brothers, but because they served a good purpose. His plot, which caused eventually what? Reunion, right? His plot eventually united his brothers and his families with him. And then in the very end, if you read Surah Yusuf, in the very end, when he brought his parents to Egypt, and he did prostrate to his parents, and he said, "My father, this is the dream. Allah has made the dream come true." Okay, now, the story started with a dream, and it ended with a dream. His brother's plot caused them to separate. His plot, again with his brothers, caused them to reunite. He was sold for a few darahim, a few dirham, small price, but then he was eventually the treasurer of the country. He had all the money in the country. He was falsely accused and put into prison, but eventually he was proven innocent and let out of prison. And he interpreted dreams for prison mates. So the central part of the story, the turning point, is again dreams. So it started with dream, it turned with dream, and it has such a parallel and symmetrical structure. So Ahsan al-Qasas, this is the most beautiful story. The way Allah told it is the most beautiful. Also the story itself is most beautiful. So what we see here is needless of explanation. We just need to appreciate this and say subhanallah and just be amazed by it. Is anyone amazed by this? Yeah? Or you have heard of this before? No? When I read it, I was really amazed by it. Like, subhanAllah. Okay. So, to conclude, again, there are many things we can learn from the story of Yusuf Ali Aslam, but he actually summarized his own story and he concluded his own lessons in ayah number 90. Alright? So in ayah number 90, when he revealed his identity, he told his brothers that I am actually Yusuf. They were shocked, and then they said, are you really Yusuf? And his reply, this is I think one of the essence of the story, or one of the main theme of the story. He said, قال أنا يوسف وهذا أخي. I am Yusuf, this is my brother. قد من الله علينا. Indeed, Allah has bestowed upon us favor. Allah has truly shown us great favor and blessing. And then he said, إنه من يتقي ويصبر فإن الله لا يضيع أجر المحسنين. I think this one line summarizes the whole story. Whoever من يتقي, whoever is conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, ويصبر, and he is patient, then Allah will not waste the reward of the good doers. Allah will surely reward the good doers. Because again, the whole story revolved around the taqwa of Yusuf Ali Aslam, how he was conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala all the time. It revolved around the patience of Yusuf Ali Aslam, how he did not complain, and actually there are three forms of patience. Maybe I mentioned this one time. There's sabr ala al-ma'mur. There's patience regarding what Allah commanded, so regarding obligations. And we can see this in Yusuf Ali Aslam because he did da'wah even when he was in prison. He was patient with what he should do. There's sabr al-mahdur, patience regarding what is forbidden. And we see this in Yusuf Ali Aslam. He ran away from the wife of Aziz even when he was called for, even when he had all the excuses to do so, because she was much more powerful than him and she was the employer. So that's also saying. And there's sabr ala al-maqdur. There's patience regarding the decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the whole story is about this. So we see all three kinds of patience in the story of Yusuf Ali Aslam. And then eventually, if you do have taqwa, and if you do have patience, then rest assured that Allah will not waste your efforts. That whatever you are going through, it may look bad, it may look negative, it may hurt your feelings, but rest assured that Allah will repay you one day. Even if it's not in this world, in the hereafter. Rest assured that it's not wasted. What you are going through is not meaningless. It's not pointless. It's all functional. It serves a higher purpose. This is what prevents us from mental health issues. The understanding and perception of purpose and reason behind everything. People don't become depressed because they're unhappy. Robin Williams, one of the most renowned stand-up comedians and also actors in the world, who won an Oscar, who was rich and famous, he committed suicide in 2014 out of severe depression. People don't get depressed because their life is hard. People get depressed when they don't see any purpose or meaning in life. When they don't see why is this happening, or why am I doing this? Why should I do this? So whenever we understand that all of this is serving a higher purpose, all of this is bringing me closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, all of this is to ensure that I have a sound heart, all of this is to ensure that I don't get too attached to this world. Right? A lot of times you become stabilized in this world and Allah breaks that stability. It brings some financial difficulties. It takes someone away from you. It gives you some trouble to make you understand this life is temporary. Otherwise you may become too distracted by this world. So that's really mercy from Allah Azza wa Jal. When we know this purpose of our life is to invest all the energy and effort to establish the home of the hereafter. Our life is to get to know Allah and get close to Him. That's it. Everything else is only facilitation. Your career and your education, everything else is only a tool to help you achieve that. Okay, so this is, and there's one last thing, alright? So the three keywords, let's say, of the story of Yusuf Ali Aslam are taqwa, sabr, and ihsan. Remember these three keywords, taqwa, sabr, and ihsan. And then, again, in ayah number 100, when he was talking to his father, he said, Ya abati. Where is this? 1 second, please. 100. Yes. وَقَالَ يَا أَبَتِ هَذَا تَأْوِيلُ رُؤْيَايَ مِنْ قَبْلِ. My father, this is the interpretation of my dream from before, right? This whole experience from my separation from you until now is the interpretation of the dream. قَدْ جَعَلَنَا قَدْ جَعَلَهَا رَبِّي حَقًّا. My Lord has made it true. Right? He didn't say it is me who decided what to do, or unfolded my life experiences. No, it is my Lord who made my dream true. وَقَدْ أَحْسَنَ بِي إِذَا أَخْرَجَنِي مِنَ السِّجْنِ. He truly treated me well when he took me out of prison. Not the king, not the prison mate. My Lord showed me kindness when he took me out of prison. وَجَاءَ بِكُم مِّنَ الْبَدَوِ مِن بَعْدِ أَن نَزَغَ الشَّيْطَانُ بَيْنِي وَبَيْنَ إِخْوَاتِي. And he brought you all the way from the desert to reunite with me after Shaitan made a plot between me and my brothers. Again, look at how he related everything to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He took me out of prison. He brought you from the desert, right? He made the dream come true. He understood that all of this is directed by Allah Azza wa Jal. The whole story is directed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's just like when you see a good movie, right? When I was young, I used to wonder, why do people praise the directors so much? Well, it's the actors who are doing the show. It was the actors who were actually acting out the plot, but people always applaud the director, and director actually earned the most, right, in a movie. They earn more than the actors. I was wondering why that is the case. And then when I grew older, I understood whatever the actors did were according to the instruction of the director. If your official expression is not satisfactory, he can say, cut, come here, do it again, do it differently. So Yusuf Ali Aslam understood that yes, he was the actor in this whole play, but Allah Azza wa Jal is the director. He decided that I should do this, and this would happen, and this could happen. So that's why he related everything to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that was the reason for his taqwa and sabr and ihsan that gave motivation to him to do this. And then also, eventually, inna rabbi latifum liman yasha. My Lord is delicate towards whoever he wills. In the word latif, there's a very good introduction to this name of Allah by Nu'man Ali Khan. He says latif literally means delicate and detail oriented. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take the smallest details of your life and transform it into something great, something tremendous. When you look at, he interpreted the dreams for two prison mates. At that time it looked insignificant. Again, right, how can two criminals help me? What can this change my life for? But Allah took that and transformed that into something tremendous. It really resulted in his success and greatness. So Allah is latif to whoever he wills. He will transform your small details and small actions of goodness and small tokens of obedience to something great. And we have to trust that Allah is latif. Innahu huwa al-alimul hakim, and he is all-knowing and he is wise. And last but not the least, his beautiful dua in ayah number 101. رَبِّ قَدْ أَتَيْتَنِي مِنَ الْمُلْكِ وَعَلَّمْتَنِي مِنْ تَأْوِيلِ الْأَحَادِيثِ. First of all, he acknowledged the favor of Allah upon him. He said, oh Allah, indeed you have given me some authority. You have given me among your kingdom, and you have truly taught me the interpretation of dreams. So this is actually, you can see, this is consistent style in the dua of righteous people. They acknowledge the favor of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first. Before you ask Allah for anything, you should first acknowledge that Allah has already given you a lot. And that makes you grateful. So that makes you become less utilitarian in making dua. Because when people make dua, it's like, I just want this, just give me right now. But then when you mention the favors of Allah first, you will realize, wait, Allah has already given me a lot. So I'm asking first and foremost because He's generous. Right? Because I want to enjoy His favor, not because I want this thing. I want to connect with Allah, that's more important. He acknowledged His favor, and then he said, فَاطِرَ السَّمَوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ أَنْتَ وَلِيِّي فِي الدُّنْيَا وَالْآخِرَةِ تَوَفَّنِي مُسْلِمًا وَأَلْحِقْنِي بِالصَّالِحِينَ. He said, O breaker of heavens and the earth. Right? Fatir means creator, but someone who breaks open things, creates a new scenery into the old situation. O breaker of heavens and the earth. You are my protecting friend. You are my wali, close friend, protective friend in this life and in the hereafter. Again, he realized that Allah is always in the picture no matter what happened to him. And then tawaffani musliman wa alhiqni bis-salihin. When take me as a Muslim, yani when I die, please make me die in the state of Islam. Make me die as a submissive person, and then join me with the righteous people. Now we are confused or curious now. Yusuf Ali Aslam, until this point, he has been conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He has been remembering Allah Azza wa Jal very frequently. He has been worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in all kinds of situations. He has been a muttaq. right? A righteous, a conscious person, and he has to be a muhsin, excellent person. Why is he asking Allah that, oh Allah, make me die as a Muslim? He's already more than a Muslim. He's already a muhsin, much higher than a Muslim. So why is he asking this? Because look, if you recall his life, being in the bottom of the well does not mean you will forever be here. And being a servant and a slave in a household of an evil woman does not mean you will forever be there. And being in prison does not mean you will forever be there. Things can change. Allah decides. So being a Muslim right now who is attending classes at SIT does not mean you will always be a righteous person. There's no guarantee. There's no guarantee that we can die upon Islam even if we are the best Muslim on earth right now. He understood this, right? He understood the qadr of Allah. The Prophet ﷺ said, some of you may do the work of the people of Jannah for a lifetime. And then the moment before he dies, he does an action of the people of hellfire, and because of that he enters hellfire. So this is the qadr of Allah. And also in another hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said, none of you can be saved by your action. None of you are saved because of your good deeds. Right? It is only by the mercy of Allah. This is even you, ya messenger of Allah. He said, even me. Right? It can only be because of the mercy of Allah. So Yusuf Ali Aslam understood this. He was not complacent because of his righteousness. He was not arrogant because of his, proud past. He was cautious, right? In a famous dua, I think it's the dua. I forgot whose dua is it. Maybe also from the Prophet ﷺ. He said, "Allahumma inni a'udhu bika minka." Oh Allah, I seek refuge in you, from you. Subhanallah. Because Allah can turn events so quickly and you have no power against it. So we always need to make dua to Allah to protect our iman. We cannot control what happens in our heart and what happens in our life. He understood that he can make dua so that Allah can protect him from all kinds of fitan, all kinds of trials that might nullify his faith and change his destiny. So, oh Allah, take me as a Muslim, accept me as a Muslim, and eventually join me with the righteous people. So this is a beautiful dua. We should also learn this dua. فاطر السماوات والأرض أنت ولي في الدنيا والآخرة توفني مسلما وألحقني بالصالحين اللهم آمين. So today's sharing ends with here. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer. بارك الله لي ولكم في القرآن الكريم ونفعنا وإياكم بالآيات والذكر الحكيم. صلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. جزاكم الله خيرا. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.